All right. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you are being very productive. We're still in January here. Happy Tuesday. And it's hard, isn't it, to get through the weeks when we have so many things that we want to do and so many goals that we want to reach and trying to stay organized, trying to stay on top of things. But now is your time to really set up your whole year if we are in January. So for those of you who are wanting to know how to start participating in the live broadcasts, what I do is I do a Facebook Live on the Pin Traffic Power Facebook page every Tuesday and Thursday at noon Central Standard Time. So that would be 1 o'clock for Eastern. And then, of course, out on the East Coast, it would be in the morning time there, 11 a.m. and 10 a.m. So at noon Central Standard Time is when I do these Facebook Lives right on the Pin Traffic Power Facebook page. There are going to be some that are only for the people who are in the Pinterest for e-commerce course. If that's the case, then that will be a time when it's held private and it's just inside of the group. It will not be broadcasted live to everyone through the Facebook page. But definitely come and chat because I think you can learn a lot. You can learn a ton. Whether you're in the course or not, you can learn a ton. There's so much that we talk about. There's a lot of things that I share that you might be interested in using right away in your own business. If you need more help, definitely consider investing in the Pinterest for e-commerce course. You get all of these live trainings and you also get some exclusive ones that are just for the people in that course. And we also have our own Tailwind tribe. So we are able to share each other's pins and do a lot of marketing for each other exclusively with Tailwind. And there's other things that we have too that are nice perks, like I create these course guides. And in the future, there's going to be some more great materials coming out to help everybody. And that's definitely going to be helpful for you if you are in the course because you're going to get some significant discounts on all of that material as I create it down the road here. But I have a big list of all kinds of things that need to be made to help people. One of the biggest requests has been, how do you train your VA with some of this stuff? So those materials are going to be put into action. I am currently training my VAs right now. So this is perfect because I can take everything that I use to help them, to guide them, to give them confidence and to help them stay focused. That is materials that I'm able to present to you to help you if you are looking to hire some help to manage some of these things. And I definitely recommend it because trying to run your own business and you're trying to manage the marketing and do it well, there's many different areas to a business. And many times the only way to grow is to figure out what can I do? How can I grow? And I'm going to have to pass off some of these tasks onto somebody else. And so to give you an update on that story, I started with hiring one VA. You might have seen that live video where I interviewed Ian Bauer with his course. You can go back and watch the videos, go into the videos underneath the Facebook page, Pin Traffic Power, go to videos. You can go and watch that one, or you can go to the Pin Traffic Power YouTube channel and check it out there and see what that's all about with that course. But when I took that course, it was great because I was able to get everything put into action very fast to hire a VA, which is what I desperately needed to do. So I was able to get one VA hired within a week. And then it's been 2 weeks since that one's been hired. She's doing great. She's just doing nothing but creating Pinterest pins for me because many times that's can really slow you down in your marketing, is just trying to create the original pins. But yet it's the most effective part and one of the most important parts to really do Pinterest well and to get high traffic going to your products and websites. So then I hired a second VA as of last Friday, and now I have just as of last night hired a third one that I think will be great. And this is going to take care of the other areas of my business that I do, which would be the print on demand section of my business and also in my Shopify store. And so those two are going to work together. My third one she's pretty well versed in a lot of different things. So I think if there's a need for her to also create Pinterest pins, she is more than happy to do that. She knows Canva well, and she is pretty familiar with Photoshop as well. But Canva is really all that we need to use. And I have team templates and am able to get them into the team component of Canva very easily. And so she can do that sometimes, but I think I'll have her focus on the print on demand stuff as well, because I have quite a bit of designs that need to get uploaded into various marketplaces. So she's going to help out with that. So I'll have two working on that, but she can kind of be a floater because she has a lot of background and skills in different areas, things that she's familiar with that she can already jump in right away and be able to help out. So I'm excited. I'm building a team. So now there's 3. I started out with 1, and within a couple of weeks, I went from 1 to 3. I realized that you can't overload with too many things. So you really need to teach one thing at a time to your VAs. And at that point, it's great if they also have somebody else that they can communicate with besides just me, so that it's a nice team atmosphere. You're creating a culture. And it also helps them to keep each other accountable. So it's not just me keeping them accountable, but what's better is if they keep each other accountable, which is fantastic. And they encourage each other and can ask questions with each other, so that if I'm, since we're working during different times of the day, if I'm unavailable, they have someone else that they can go to as well to ask questions and to be able to keep working. So those are some of the reasons why I felt like it was actually quite wise to hire more than one VA and to start out with more than one right away. Now, it's not going to be true for everyone. It just depends on the different parts of your business, how many moving pieces and parts you're trying to keep going. But it's been helpful for me. And I think that we're creating something exciting. And to me, it's exciting to have a team. I mean, that's something that's like a dream. I love being on teams. I love working in teams. I love the collaboration. I love the brainstorming. I love all kinds of parts of a team. And so that's one of the things that I miss with being kind of a solo entrepreneur, is you don't have anybody to bounce ideas off of necessarily, unless you reach out to your other friends who are also entrepreneurs, but they're busy too. They're running their own businesses. So you have to be wise of their time and before you take up too much of their time bouncing off ideas and getting some mentoring and some advice, which is great. But if it's just simple ideas or collaboration, I love to have my own team or my own group of people where we could really work together and find out what we can do. So this is awesome that a team is developing. But hey, Nancy, how's it going? Great to see you. We're going to talk about Tailwind today. So let's get into Tailwind and talk about that a little bit further. I'm going to share my screen because there's some things here that I think would be great for you to be able to see. So, all right. So if you're using Tailwind now, you might at first find it a little bit difficult to navigate around in here. It was for me at first, but then, you play around and you get used to things. There's a lot of things with a basic account that's not going to be unlocked for you unless you pay more and more money, which I don't think is necessary, really. So you're not going to get this type of stuff. This is, for people who are huge, humongous businesses, and they have the money to pay for that kind of insight. But for most of us, we just have a small team of people. We're not a huge industry. And even so, I'm not sure that that's those analytics they might be useful, but they're not necessarily what you have to have in order to keep growing and expanding. We have a lot of great analytics already that are right here, no problem for you to use. So this is the board insights. Where you find that is under where it says track your brand page. You go to profile performance and board insights. So if you want to, you can open up Tailwind, your own Tailwind right now, and follow along. And if you have questions, drop them down in the comment, and I can help you understand what some of this stuff means and what it looks like. And, just feel free to drop comments or questions down below. And I can address a lot of those as we go along here. Okay, so you can see I have different boards that are set up. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't worked as much in my own account as I have other people's accounts. So I've been working actually more in other people's accounts than I have my own. That's why I have a need for hiring some help because my own stuff has been neglected. So now we're getting back on board again, and we're beginning to get the ball rolling again back in my own account. so that I can keep my own business growing as well as helping everyone else grow their businesses too. So you can see that one of my top boards is called Music Quotes. Now, quotes do really, really well on Pinterest. They do really, really well, but there's things you got to be careful with quotes. Number one, with the quotes, if it's not your quote, I would not put your logo on the pin or your website URL. I think that's kind of getting into tricky territory where if the right people were to find out about that, they could ask you to take it down and you could have a lawsuit because of copyright infringement. So I even think that you have to be careful if it's from 75 years ago or older is what copyright says. I even think you still have to be kind of careful then about it because it could be trademarked as well. So you need to look in the uspto.gov to see what the trademarking says as long with abiding by copyright law. So when it comes to quotes, it's such a tricky territory that what I would advise is just do not put your own, if it's not your quote, if it's not something that you have said or created on your own or made it up yourself, then don't put your logo on your pin, don't watermark it. And don't put your website URL on it because these pins last for years, and you don't want someone coming after you with a claim of copyright infringement or trademark infringement. So just leave that stuff off of your quote pins. And I had talked to several other Pinterest experts about this, and they all agree that it's tricky territory when you get into quotes, but yeah, they do so well on Pinterest. And the best way to go about it is really to create your own sayings and to make up your own quotes. Now, if you want to put your name attached to it, you can, if you feel like you want people to get to know you as part of your brand. If you are not your brand just by yourself, if you're not trying to brand yourself, but you're trying to brand something else, then don't put a name underneath it. But put your watermark on your pin most definitely. So some of the things that I was doing was I was going into my blog where I had written a lot of material, and I was actually capturing some quotes out of that blog and using that, which is great material because it is truly what I have created myself, what I've said in my own words. And I would just share a snapshot of that on a pin, and it does great. And that's considered a quote or a saying, and it's coming from my own material. So that does very, very well. You can see that the Music Quotes board is still alive and kicking, even though it hasn't had a lot of new stuff being contributed to it. It's got a lot of followers. It's got a lot of repins, 11,000 repins out of this board. That's within 7 days. Okay, so that's a total in 7 days. You can change this here if you want to. So I could put my lowest, the ones that are performing the worst up top, or I can scroll up and I could get the ones that are doing the best here. So now the humor board moved up, it looks like, with just doing that. You can see what the virality score here is. Okay, because I just sorted by repins. So the most repins is coming out of the music humor board. If I want to search the virality score, how viral the pins are going, they are going more viral out of the quotes than they are humor. But these two, quotes and humor, do absolutely well on Pinterest. And it's a great way to get people over to your website, your blog pages if you have a blog, get them over to your products if it makes sense to do that. Now, if you're doing product pins, I wouldn't do a quote and then have them lead to a product because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all to the person on Pinterest where they want to see this quote, and so they click through to see what other stuff might be there because they really love that quote, and then they don't see the quote, they see a product. It's a little misleading, and they're probably gonna have some negative feelings about your brand. So be careful with doing that. What's better is that you use a blog. And in your Shopify store, there's blog space. Eventually, if you want to open up a blog using some kind of a website, you can. I use WordPress for the blog portion and then Shopify for the store portion. You don't have to do that. You could do whatever you want to do. But if you're going to do that kind of material beyond products, it's really best to put it inside of a blog. If there's some other alternatives, that would be fantastic. There might be other ways of going about doing that, but that's how I would handle that. So anyways, you can see the repins and the follower count here is pretty high, but this is great information for your board insights. So definitely keep track of that. Your profile performance is also very valuable. And you can also, well, you can only do the 7 days. Okay, so with the basic account, it's only going to do 7 days for everything in your analytics. So that's when using that in combination with your Pinterest analytics can be very, very useful, using both of them. So Pinterest analytics is quite good. It's very good, but you're going to get even more info over here through Tailwind. And so we can see the last, the total repin count in the last 7 days, it's up 201. And remember that I haven't been real active in my account lately. So we got a lot going on here with over 3,000 total. And in the last 7 days, it's been over 201. Lots of great comments coming in. There's still great followers. So still, you can get your account up to a certain level where it holds steady. So if you don't work on it for a while, it's not going to slip and go backwards. It'll be fine. And then when you're ready to get back in the game again, then it will, you can increase that again. So honestly, it did not take me very long to get that many followers. All I did was just pin consistently and find some great stuff to share, and shared my own stuff, and that was it. There wasn't really any other major trick to getting followers. It's just being a part of the community and interacting with people. Okay, the pin inspector, I think we talked about this in the last video. It's great. You can see what pins are doing well for you, and you can filter out your dates here. So if you want to change your dates, like this is going way back to 2013, you can change your dates to be maybe last month. So if you want to see what pins did well last month, you can. Maybe it's a year ago, see what pins did well a year ago. You can reschedule them. If you have any new boards you want to put them into, you can add them to your tribes. We talked about tribes last time, which is awesome, by the way. And you can find similar content. And so for me, sometimes that's hard because there's not that much content that is inside of the Tailwind system. Now, if you don't know about this, Tailwind has their own system where you can actually, if you have a website or a blog or a store, and you create some really great pins, and they are there on your blog. So if you have a store, it'd be like on your blog side of your store, then those pins will populate up into Tailwind if you actually contribute those. So let me show you where that's located. So if we go to the Find Similar Content, down here at the bottom, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, it says, want your content to appear here for other Tailwind users to pin. So if you've ever wondered how these people get their pins in here, because these are real people's pins, how they get them in here is they applied. And once they were accepted, then what happens is Tailwind takes that RSS feed of your blog, and this is why it's handy to have a blog, an RSS feed, and they populate your pins into here automatically so that other people, and we're talking thousands more people, can go in and pin your stuff if it's relevant to them. And Tailwind makes these suggestions for each and every person who is a user of their platform. So that's how these people are able to get their pins in here. And if you get accepted, then look at how popular this is. This has been used over and over on Facebook. This one has been pinned over and over again on Pinterest. So it's really great if you're able to get into the Tailwind system, and it's not very hard. I was able to get one of my clients in. I'm waiting for another client. As soon as they have their pins in their blog, which they don't have yet, then I will be able to apply on their behalf, and then their stuff will start populating here, which means things will really start trucking along because all kinds of people are in here and they'll be sharing their stuff. So if you really are wanting your stuff to go viral, that's a great way to do it. Get it out there for a lot of people beyond the Tailwind tribes. You get it into the Tailwind system itself. So I hope that you were aware of that. Your weekly summary is what you see all the time. It's okay. You you can see what's happening here. You can there's a lot of people that are pinning from my website yet today, and there's not enough pins there, which is being fixed right now. So people create their own pins, and they kind of look ugly, but they're just wanting to save the information that they're reading because it's very valuable to them. And then what I'm going to do is go back in and put some affiliate links in those pages and my own products. I can use the buy button and put that buy button from Shopify, embed it into those pages as well. And then there's things that people can purchase while they're enjoying learning and reading material off of the blog. So that is the plan of what's happening right now. And then, of course, you get just the basics of the most repinned boards and what's going on there. Okay, so we talked about tribes already. Underneath the publisher, so we have publish. You've got drafts if you want to import your drafts in and your scheduled pins, set up that. Here's your schedule. And you can arrange your schedule to be whatever you want. Okay, so if you want to generate a new smart schedule, you can. And what that does is you say how many you want to do per day. And I would advise that you start out with at least 10 to 12. And then at that point, when you get used to having a great routine of filling up all of your slots so that you have your pins going out 10 to 12 times per day, then I think if you really want to increase your visibility, get it up to 25 times per day. And that's not easy to do right away, but that's what I would do. And it's going to generate this whole new schedule for you. Okay. These little spots right here are suggested time slots. So if you don't want to generate a new smart feed, but yet you need some more slots added in and you feel like you can handle it, then go ahead and click on one of these and it's going to add it in. So it's suggesting the time on Monday as 6:56 p.m. So I'm going to click on that. And what it's going to do is I'll be able to have that new slot open up for a pin to go into. So that's how you do that. Okay, you can pin from Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, this is in beta mode, you can sign in and you can actually start pinning from your Instagram account. So that's going to give you a lot more material that you can use from, on your Pinterest account. So that's kind of a newer development that's happening here. All right, published pins. This is similar to the other area that we were looking in. This is in the publisher area. This is another place where you can get your analytics about your pins on how well they're doing. You can change, again, your dates here. So you could see what it was a year ago, 2 years ago, last month, 3 months ago. See what's happening. If you find out that there is a pin that you've created that is doing well in the last year, then you need to create some similar pins. Definitely. So that you can use that to update all of your other information. You might want to use that information to look at your the pin description and see if there's some keywords there that are doing well for you in your pin description. So that's all really great information. And then of course the board lists, this is where you can organize all of your boards. So I have a lot of them that are grouped together. And what I'm doing is I put together different groups so that I can pin out to several boards at once. So here there are, this one's called Life Quotes, but it's got several quotes in there. Or this one was Marching Band Problems, but it would have more than one board in here, okay? And you'll be able to see which ones are in there. So I've made a lot of changes and adjustments, and I haven't gone back in here to change and make adjustments since then. So you can see that here we've got 2 boards in this group. But what you're doing is you're putting your boards into groups so that when you go into your scheduler to schedule, you can choose the actual group together. You don't have to sit and go through 60 boards to try and find the one that you're looking for or the 5 that you're looking for. So the more boards you have, using these board lists really, really help you. Well, now with the development of the sections, you can actually consolidate some of your boards together so you don't have quite so many to try and keep track of, and just use a more general themed board where you can have sections within your board and use those keywords in your sections. And I think that'll make things a lot easier than what it was. Okay, monitoring your domain, you can get some insights in here. So this is what happens when you don't create a pin for people to pin from your website. it comes in looking like this, because people are going to pin from your website, whether you know it or not. And that's what's been happening for the last few years here. So this is what happens. They're really interested in that topic. They liked that article. They wanted to save it for later to read or to share. And, it comes in looking like this, because what's happening is they're using the little Pinterest pin it button. And I think it's on the mobile phone. So if they're reading an article on my website on their phone, then they use this little pin it button and it generates a pin for you like this, Pinterest does. So that's why they look weird. They don't even look pretty. I wish Pinterest would change that to make it look better than this ugly brown color. But that's what happens. And there's nothing you can do about it except realize, oh, okay, I need to wake up and create some pins and have pins on my website so that because people are going there and pinning. So I might as well give them something nicer to look to pin. So that's your domain, if you have a domain. Now, do you have to have a website and a domain to get a lot of benefits out of Pinterest marketing? Absolutely not. That's always a question that people have is, do I have to have a website to use Pinterest? The answer is no. The answer is no. Later down the road, if you open up a website, it would be in your best interest to verify your website and to share that. That's going to build out your business a lot more. So at some point, if you are getting real serious about your business, it would be wise to have a blog. It would be wise. But do you need that right now? No, you don't. You don't. You don't have to have any website at all. But at some point, it might be wise to get that going and add that in. It really isn't hard to build a website. I've done it. I did it years ago. And all I did was I just Googled how. And because that's all I was able to do at the time. And I did it myself and have created several since. Okay, so we've got the board insights. This is what we were there just a moment ago. Optimize your content. This is a pin inspector that we talked about before. And the industry trends, which we can't get into. Okay, now there was another area that was really kind of cool. And this is where we found, let's go to the insights. Oh, it's organic activity is where it's located. It's this one. I forgot to go to this one. Organic activity underneath monitor your domain. Now you may have been in here and it says the latest pins. You may have been in here and you may have seen this crazy looking word cloud. This thing is really cool. I learned what this means because Tailwind doesn't readily tell you here what this means, but it's really awesome. So it depends on what you're putting in your pin description. And this is telling you your top keywords in your pin descriptions. Okay, that is really useful information. So obviously for me, I'm in the music niche. Guess what word is the biggest? Music. So I have to use music in my pin descriptions, including my pins that are on my website that other people are pinning onto Pinterest. I have to have the word music in my pin because it's so popular and it's doing well for me. So the words that are the biggest are the words that are doing the best for you. These are your keywords that are doing very well for you right now because they are in your pin descriptions and those pins have been doing well. Okay, people are sharing them and they're using them. The smaller words are the ones that are okay, but they're not as popular as the bigger words. What's really cool is that now we're starting to see more of the hashtags. And I can also see what hashtags are doing really well for me right now. And that's telling me, oh, I need to keep using those hashtags in my pin descriptions. Okay. So this is what the word cloud means. This is why it's so important that you understand keywords on Pinterest. I can't express that enough. If you learn nothing but keywords, your business will thrive on Pinterest because I'll guarantee that 95% of the people who are Pinterest users don't really know that Pinterest is a search engine and they don't really know how to use it. So that's the key area to get your business to thrive, is if you're going to be doing the work over there on Pinterest, you might as well learn how Pinterest actually works so that it can work more effectively for you. And then you don't have to work quite so hard. It's a little bit of a trick to learn it at first, but I guarantee you will get a nice routine. You'll have a habit. You'll practice it. You'll start feeling comfortable with the keywords, and you're going to see some major results happening because of that. So this word cloud is huge. Again, the big words are your best performing keywords. The smaller words are still good keywords, but they're not performing as well for you right now. And you can see that there are some hashtags in there as well. And I would be anxious to see how more of those hashtags do over time. They might do even better yet. Okay, and then you can see that some of those little tiny words, some do well and some don't. So it depends on what's in those pin descriptions. Now, your pin descriptions can be what you write out if you are the person pinning your stuff, your pins onto Pinterest. However, if you have a website and there are people pinning from your website, which they will, because look at this. This is someone else. I mean, they did. And there was no pin there for them to repin. And they did this, it says, a week ago. Okay, last week they did this. This is what it looks like. It looks pretty ugly because I don't have anything there, an image right in that blog post that they can pin. So they're searching for something, and this is what they did. So you can use a plugin called WP Tasty Pin. That's for WordPress users. Or you can use Social Warfare, or you could do what I'm doing is I use a combination of both now, because I started with Social Warfare, and now the WP Tasty Pin has come out, which is fantastic. That makes it so where you don't have to change your alt tags in your images in your WordPress blog, because those alt tags are really for helping you with Google. Those are keywords for the Google search engine. And putting your pin description in that alt tag is what people have been doing, and I've not really wanted to do that because the Google search engine is so valuable. So with the WP Tasty pins, it makes it easy to where you don't have to mess with your alt tags. You can optimize that for Google, and there is a separate pin description box for optimizing for Pinterest. You can choose to have your pin displayed in your blog, or you can hide it. If you don't want it displayed in your blog, you can hide it. When people hit the pin it button from your blog, then the image that you have hidden will pop up. So they're forced to share that one and not something else like this that doesn't look so great. So there's a lot of these that are floating around on Pinterest, and I'm almost ashamed. It's like, oh my word, this is what it looks like, you know? It's like, this is what my brand looks like at this point. But yeah, it was an eye-opener to me to realize just how effective Pinterest really is and how other people are actually doing the marketing for me. I just need to help them a little bit and make it look a little bit better than this. So this word cloud, I thought, is really a cool thing when you understand and learn what it means. And it's like, oh, cool. So for those of you in the Pin Traffic Power, you know, the Pinterest for e-commerce course, we did this whole thing on, we were talking about how to put together some collections, okay, or some gift guides. And I did an example of coffee mugs. So apparently that pin is done well enough with the keyword coffee mugs. That's why it's popped up there. If you're wondering, like, what does that have to do with music? Because I have some music coffee mugs in my Shopify store, and I created some gift guides for it, and it's done very well. There's a lot of those pins are populating well in Pinterest. People are saving them and or repinning them. And I've actually had sales on those coffee mugs too without a problem because of that. So that's why this is happening. And it makes sense because it's like, yeah, I have sold some coffee mugs. So no wonder that keyword is a pretty strong keyword at this point on those pin descriptions, and I definitely need to keep using them. The word gifts is very strong as well on all of those pins. And then for me, music, musicians, unique, those are the ones that are very strong just because of my niche area. They're going to be different for you. Okay, so if you are a crafter, it might be crafts is your biggest one. If you are in fitness, it might be fitness is your biggest one. So those are more niche type keywords that are specific to you and your business. So that's a lot about what Tailwind can do for you that I think is really, really fantastic. Let's see if there's some questions back here in the back end. Okay. Yes, with the date range, it is the default is the last 7 days, but there are some other areas that I showed just a moment ago where you can look at your pins in Publisher and in the pin inspector, and it will help you go back further. So it'll go back like all the way to last 2 years, 3 years or so, and you can change that date range around a little bit in that section. But in the other areas, it's always going to default to the last 7 days. So take a look at those other areas because it's going to give you some valuable insight from maybe like 2 years ago if you were pinning way back then. I even have them going back as far as 2013, which is, unbelievable to me. But that's when people were pinning from my blog, was way back in 2013. And here that's been what, almost 5 years ago now. And, those pins are still going strong. And they're not even my pins because I wasn't even on Pinterest. I wasn't even using Pinterest. So that's just what other people did. Okay. Yeah, you're doing, yeah. So Nancy's doing the same thing that I'm doing. She's doing the Shopify, and then instead of using the Shopify blog area, using WordPress, and has the WordPress.org, which is what I highly recommend. It's a lot more robust. So if you're wanting to learn more about how to become a blogger and get the most out of blogging, I'm telling you, is amazing. It really can generate some very powerful traffic for you, but you got to share that stuff on Pinterest. So if you just blog and that's all you do and don't share it, it's not going to do much for you. But a blog in combination with Pinterest is phenomenal. You can use affiliate links. You put your products in your blog. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with it because people just like to read. It makes sense. They like to have something that they can learn from. They like material that they can read. They don't want to just be sold to all the time with products. They like to be entertained. So that's definitely something to consider. And then as far as answering your question about social warfare or tasty pins, which one is better than the other? If you were to choose one, I don't know. I think they're both great, but with tasty pins, what's nice is that you can hide the pin, and you can hide the pin if you want, which you can. There is a default on social warfare where you can do that as well. Your pin description is separate from your alt tag description. That's the biggest, one of the biggest things, but social warfare also has a spot for your pin description that is separate from your alt tags. So the one thing about social warfare is that it does more than just Pinterest. So I don't know that one is any better than the other. I'm kind of using both right now because I think it's fun I want to test both and I want to play around with both and see what other functionality there is. But with the social warfare, it goes beyond Pinterest. So if you are developing followers on Facebook with your Facebook fan page or Twitter, it'll definitely help you with that. So when people want to do a tweet from your blog, you can actually give them a default tweet to use that'll help populate into Twitter more effectively than if they were to try and come up with something to say on their own. So those are some of the differences. To pick just one, I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you, but they are both great. The Tasty Pins is kind of a new development. And honestly, I would love to have a little bit more time to test it out to decide if I truly love one more than the other. But at this point, I'm kind of neutral. I think they're both really great tools. And I want to test it further to see if I can get more functionality out of one more than the other. Right now, I am the most familiar with social warfare, and I absolutely love social warfare. So if you want to use that as a starting point, I certainly would, because it can do more beyond Pinterest. But if you don't care about that, then you could do the the WordPress Tasty Pins plugin as well. All right. Any other questions here? I just wanted to give you an update with some more information that you can use in Tailwind that's really going to help you. And the biggest one that I thought was cool to share was that cloud, that word cloud, because I've been staring at that word cloud forever and had no idea what it was. I didn't know what it meant. And so now I know, and it's like, hey, that is some awesome information that is good to know. And you need to know that information so that you can go back and optimize your pin descriptions and even optimize your board descriptions with those keywords, because Tailwind is telling you what is performing well. And that's not something that you're going to get in Pinterest Analytics. Not that easily. So that word cloud is amazing. All right. Well, I will let you go for today and have fun pinning.